How's it going, fam? Welcome back to Erica's EDC, and today I'm making the most important video I think I've ever made on my channel about knife steel. I had an epiphany. I'm shaking. I'm anxious. My adrenaline is going. I'm obsessed, okay? This is going to be extremely long-winded. Be patient with me. Grab a drink, a beer, preferably. Grab a mom, maybe two. This is really going to be like a huge knife steel nerd video, okay, guys? So, this is a follow-up to a video I made, I want to say about a week ago. And I was sitting in my truck and I made a video talking about like what steel is better than whatever. And I said, you know, realistically, to most people, nothing is like better, right? And we kind of just talked about like geometry and composition and all of the things. However, I'm not completely satisfied with a portion of the video that I did in reference to better steels and kind of the definition of better. I feel like I fell short in talking about it. So this is going to be a video dedicated to what steel is better. And we're going to break this down to like a micro science here, okay? So first off, we have the literal definition of better, okay? Of a more excellent or effective type or quality, okay? So in this video, when I'm using the word better, we're going to be using the dictionary term of better, all right? I'm going to try to keep this, most of it, as like realistic and kind of science-based as possible. And also real quick before we start delving in, these are all facts that you can find via the Knife Steel Nerds website, which I use for a lot of my information, or the book, okay? I highly suggest reading this if you're into knife steel, knife engineering, anything knives, okay? Let's get into this. I am going to try to not really offend anyone, but we are going to be honest and realistic here, okay? So, this is a knife in 8670 steel. 8670 is it is the toughest steel, I believe, on the market. Okay? It has extreme toughness, but really, really low edge retention. On the opposite end, we could have something like Rex 121. And CPM Rex 121 has, you know, dang near the best wear resistance, but its toughness is not that great. Okay, so these are two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. This knife is very, very tough, and this knife has very, very good edge wear, okay? Wear resistance. These are called facts. These are steels that have been tested, and the composition and the testing shows us that we have crazy toughness and crazy wear resistance, okay? I'm sure we can all agree with that because it's science. Now, sometimes we have steels that don't really offer a ton in terms of performance, okay? Now this is gonna upset people, but give me a chance to explain, please, because this isn't gonna be like a shit on what you love show, okay? We have 1095 here. 1095, according to the charts, does not have good toughness, and it does not have good edge retention. So you may be wondering, well, why do people love it so much? That specific demographic of the community. Why is 1095 loved so much? 1095 is loved so much because it is extremely easy to work with and very cheap. It is extremely easy to grind, extremely easy to heat treat, and I believe that this is one of the best steels that you can practice on if you're getting into forging and just kind of making knives in general, because it's really easy to work with. Now remember, if you go look at the charts, it doesn't really have a lot of good performance characteristics, okay? But it is good to work with, all right? So this could be a really good practice steel. Now, I love all knives and all steel, and that's what I said in the first video in the truck, But what I fell short on was saying, I love all knives and all steel for other people who love them, okay? Because we all know that on my particular channel, I do not use or test knives from China. I know that makes a lot of people upset, but it's just something that I don't care for. There are thousands of people testing and reviewing Chinese knives. I don't have to add into that. My focus is custom makers and stuff like that, okay? So I love that other people love Chinese knives because they're easily accessible, they're cheap, they have all different funky designs. I love that for other people, okay? Same like with some other steels, okay? So 1095 doesn't do anything for me personally because I like my knives to perform well and to cut for as long as possible. So scientifically, if 1095 doesn't have good toughness and doesn't cut for a very long time, it doesn't do much for me. Now, can I love it for someone else that admires certain things about it? Of course. So if a maker like Joe Calton from Calton Cutlery, who is a legend and I highly respect him, if he says to me, I love 1095 and I love working in 1095 because I have dialed in a heat treat for it, I grind it thin, I like the patina, I like how easy it is to, grind and forge and work with. It's not the best performing steel, but I just like it. I can love that for you and appreciate that for you and admire that for you because we're not starting to tie in lies and misinformation, okay? So when I say I love all knives and all steel, that's what I'm talking about. Does that mean I love them for me? No. But can I love and appreciate things for other people because they enjoy it? Absolutely, okay? So, on the subject of steel that can be not a great performer, another one would be like 01. So if you look at the charts, 01 does not have good toughness and does not have good edge retention. But again, it's basically a different version of 1095. It's easy to work with and a lot of people like that, okay? By the way, this is the Snake Eater design by James Harris at Junkyard Fox. Do not buy this knife from Wood Steel Knives. The design is not being done by Wood Steel anymore. I wanted to throw that in there. Woody Smith is not accountable for making this design anymore. It's Bear Forest Knives, okay? So if you want a Snake Eater, this is a mini one, but if you want the Snake Eater, James Harris has transferred the design to Bear Forest Knives, who will be making it. Do not place an order with Wood Steel Knives. You will not get your knife, okay? I wanted to throw that in there. James is a really good friend of mine. I've been friends with him for years. Awesome design. Mine is in 01, so that's why I threw it in here, okay? 01 doesn't really perform that well, but again, easy to work with, takes the teeners. People like it because they like it. Awesome. I have another one here. This is 80 CRV2. You're also probably noticing a lot of low alloy steels that we're talking about here, okay? 80 CRV2. A lot of people don't know this, but after heat treat, 80 CRV2 has little to no carbide content, okay? So you may be wondering, where is the edge retention coming from? Where's the wear resistance coming from and stuff? It's coming from the heat treat, the hardness, okay? So if you have little to no carbide content and it's solely relying on the hardness of the steel and it's a crazy tough steel in composition, logic would tell you that the equation would end in a higher hardness, especially if you can bring it up to feasibly 63, 64, 65, okay? So logic and fact would just tell us that, okay, got it. Composition-wise, it ends up with basically no carbide content, so we have no carbide to cut. It is relying on the hardness. You're not compromising the toughness because of the composition. So yes, 80 CRV2 should be 63 HRC or higher, up to 65, okay? So we're gonna stop there. We have a bunch of facts that you can look up online, okay? If you found an 80 CRV2 knife below 63 HRC, in my opinion, if you're saying that that knife is better than anything, I can't get on board with it. Why? Because it's going against the facts, the science, the everything. And it to me, it's dishonest. Okay. By the way, this knife is 63 HRC or higher. So this is not an example of like a poorly done one. That behavior in the community is what I've been trying to combat. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because in the truck video, I feel like I was almost a little too loose with what I was talking about, being like, I love all steel and I love all knives and everything. It's like, I do, if it's all done properly and you don't start tying in kind of the falsities to things, okay? And I also believe it's really important to try to educate people, not do the myth thing and the hiding information, okay? So, we have some facts about those low alloy steels there that maybe some people didn't know. I watched a video last night on 52-100 steel, and it was by Green Beetle, and he tested two knives, one at 60 HRC and one at 62 HRC. They were both knives that he made. They were identical, same DPS, same geometry, everything. We just had two different hardnesses. The 62 HRC 52-100 blew the 60 HRC out of the water in terms of everything. So he does like a little chart on the screen showing the points and everything. And the conclusion was running 52-100 at 62 HRC compromises nothing but highly increases edge retention, and your toughness is still nutty. He actually tried like breaking this thing and he just like couldn't with the ball drop. I'm sure you guys know who Green Beetle is. He's famous. So the conclusion was you didn't have a loss in anything. You only gained by bringing it up to 62 HRC. So that, in my opinion, is the definition of better, right? So if 52-100 only excels at 62 HRC, there genuinely isn't a factual, logical reason other than laziness or cutting corners to run it softer, right? If we're going by the definition of better. So that really started working my mind, because I don't ever want people to feel like they're exiled from my channel just because I prefer like high hardness than geometry super steel. Everything is welcome here, and I can appreciate everything as long as it's factual and logical, okay? So that got me to thinking, how should I answer the better steels question? Because I get asked that at least 10 times a day. What steel is better? What steel is best? When people ask me that, I am assuming that they are asking all around better as a cutting tool, right? Because a knife is a tool to cut. That's the first thing that you think about when you think about a knife, is it cutting, okay? So edge retention is kind of important for a knife, right? So we're going to go over a couple of steels here that I think are some of the best steels all around, and that could be better options for not only EDC, but also bushcraft and other things like that, okay? Because we don't see a lot of, let's say like K390, for example, in bushcraft knives, but I would love to start seeing it, because in my opinion, it is better than a lot of the old school kind of like low alloy, simple carbon steels, okay? And again, we're not crapping on anything here. This is purely factual. So let's go over K390. K390 has been one of my favorite steels for a very long time. I was hugely inspired by Pete from Cedric and Ada. K390 is extremely impressive in composition. It was a different iteration of 10V, and it has good toughness, insane edge retention, and the corrosion resistance isn't the worst, but it's also not the best. It will take a patina, okay? But again, if we go to like bushcraft knives specifically, a lot of them are in steel that do take a patina and could rust, right? So the corrosion resistance thing, I think we can mitigate. I do have a stainless and semi-stainless option later on in the video that we'll touch on. But K390, right? It's a really good performer as a knife. Way better, and I'm sorry, way better than 1095. Why? Because it has infinitely better edge retention. 1095 is not tough to begin with, and K390 has good toughness. And 1095 has way worse corrosion resistance than K390. So in my opinion, K390 truly factually is quote unquote subjectively better for those reasons. Also, S35 VN was made to be a still stainless but tougher version of S30V. Okay, we all know S35 VN. Chris Reeve Knives used it for a long time, and it has way better toughness. It didn't chip out like S30V did. Still super stainless. Okay. What if I told you that K390 has basically the same toughness as S35? Would that surprise you? Right? Because it does. Isn't that crazy? Now, we don't talk about that a lot. K390 has similar toughness to S35 VN, which was made for toughness in part, and XHP. Isn't that crazy? So it truly actually is, quote unquote, kind of better, right? I think that's really neat. But a lot of people don't know that, okay? 10V has better toughness than K390, but they're kind of similar. Let's talk about 15V, another one of my absolute all-time favorite steels, okay? I love 15V. 14.5% vanadium, crazy, crazy toothy, takes the teeners, but it's not like it's a rust magnet per se. Absolutely awesome to use. I have found it has good toughness as well. Why? Because 15V has extremely similar toughness to 20CV and M390. 20CV, as you can see here, is used in camp knives on occasion. This is a camp knife from TRM, which I made a video about a long time ago. This isn't really my jam in terms of like the design. It just doesn't work for me, but my whole point is this is a camp knife. They literally made this as a camp knife. They chose 20 CV. So not bad on the toughness level if 15V has similar toughness to 20 CV and M390, okay? Pretty cool. Also, in my personal testing, 15V had awesome toughness, and I actually have a video disassembling deer legs in my kitchen sink with this and cutting right up against the bone, scraping on it, everything. Nothing happened to the edge. Sean Houston, who had a hand in the heat treat protocol of this steel, also has videos on his channel where he takes African blackwood and literally tries to chip the apex out. Nothing happens, okay? So, amazing toughness, out of this world edge retention. Not the most stainless steel, but it actually won't rust as bad as 01 or 1095. So again, you know, kind of objectively speaking, if we're going off of the literal term, 15V is better than 1095. It truly is. It will outperform it in every capacity, okay? So now you may be wondering, okay, we understand that there truly actually are better steels. But why aren't we seeing them then if they're better? That's where the money thing comes in. This is not a debate of performance when you boil it down. It's money, guys. It's money, because you have to remember time is money, labor is money, materials are money. So if K390 and 15V cost more to purchase, use more abrasives to grind, money, use more time and labor to work with, money, it doesn't feasibly work for everyone, okay? I can understand that 100%. I have no problem with that. If a maker or company likes working with 1095 or ADC or V2 or whatever because it takes less time, it's easy to grind, it's more cost effective, I 100% get that and understand that. What doesn't really sit well with me is when we start to kind of beat around the bush as to why we're using simple carbon steels that are outdated and saying that they perform just as well or better than more modern steels, when in reality, the real reason is money, okay? I would love to see more transparency in the community from people using steels like 1095. And instead of saying that they're better and that they're tried and true, time-tested, whatever, some honesty about the reason would be awesome. Because what happens is when you say, I had someone actually say this to me in the comments, someone said 1095 will outperform 10V any day, and the 10V will be lying at my feet while the 1095 keeps going. That is like literally, genuinely, factually incorrect. Okay? If you want to love 1095 for the reasons stated earlier, I love that for you. But when we start, making things up, like one of the biggest made up things about 1095 is that it's tough. It's truly, genuinely not, guys. Go look at the charts. It does not have good toughness. It actually really doesn't have good toughness because 1095 is not a clean steel in composition. It's not. So that is what starts to get me a little bummed, because the misinformation sucks. If people could just be honest and say, I like working with this steel because it's easy for me and I enjoy it. My soul enjoys grinding it and treating it because it's easy for me. It's fun. I love that for you. It's when we start doing the lies, right? That's kind of a bummer. So, on that topic, K390 is a genuinely amazing steel all around. I would love to see more knives in it, especially field knives, because I have been testing this K390 knife for, I want to say almost a year. This is K390, 64.5 HRC, only 10 thou BTE, and I have tried to break this, and I can't. It is that amazing. I have videos of me batoning and cross batoning and tip testing this knife. It's all on the channel under the testing playlist. And I could not get this to budge. And I brought paper out with me and would beat the crap out of it, clean cut paper, keep beating the crap out of it, right? So if I can take this knife and do all of that with it outside, and it never rusted, we just have some teeners, and it has insane edge retention and insane toughness, and it's amazing. And I did the same thing with the 1095, and it ended up being soft and rolling out or even chipping on occasion. Which one is better? The K390. Why? It has way better edge retention. It has better toughness, really, in my opinion, and better corrosion resistance. I know someone's going to bring up sharpening. They're going to run around frantically. Crap, I need something to bring up. Sharpening. It's too hard to sharpen, guys. That is not true. It's actually the opposite. And I know that's going to really upset people, but I promise, do your research and you will find that what I'm saying is true. Super steels are not hard to sharpen, okay? There are many companies that make little diamond pocket stones, very small ones, so we don't have to talk about the river rock thing. Everyone has a pocket sharpener. You can buy one for $5, basically wherever you go, okay? So you can touch up any super steel. Also, thicker, softer steels genuinely are not easier to sharpen. They're actually usually more difficult because the burr can flip back and forth. You're working with a physically softer material. Harder, thinner steel genuinely, truly is, most of the time, easier to work with, easier to touch up, okay? And that's something I really want you guys to go try yourself, truly. Get a little pocket diamond stone. Go do some testing out in your backyard. I'm not saying to go try to break the knife like I did. Just do some normal stuff that you would do on a camping trip. Let the knife try to get dull if it's in a super steel. If it does, try to touch it up on your little pocket diamond stone or a little diamond rod or whatever, okay? Try it, please. It's amazing. So if we can combat all of the things, including edge maintenance, and we truly do have better steels, in my opinion, K390 is one of the better steels. 15V is one of the better steels. And so are Cru-Wear and MagnaCut. I'm throwing MagnaCut in here for a stainless option. Cru-Wear is semi-stainless. It is more stain resistant from my experience than these two. So K390, no, not K390, Cru-Wear and MagnaCut also are extremely good choices for better all-around performing steels as a knife, okay? Cru-Wear has crazy toughness, crazy edge retention, and super easy to touch up. This knife I have videos of, again, doing some pretty wild testing, batoning, cross batoning. I took it and I sat on a telephone pole, like a really old one covered in pine pitch, and I have a video of me stabbing this into the telephone pole and beating it down into it, like trying to break the tip off. Nothing happened. Okay, and this is 64 HRC, 64, 65, okay? MagnaCut was literally created to be an all-around, kind of all-encompassing great steel, okay? Stainless as all get out. Nutty edge retention. One of the easiest steels to sharpen. Sharpenability was included in the creation of MagnaCut, okay? Amazing toughness. It really is an all-around incredible, amazing steel. I think MagnaCut is suited for anything from EDC to hunting knives to outdoor bushcraft and camping knives, because it truly is better. It really is. And again, this is not to like crap on anyone. This is not to be like, oh, if someone makes knives out of 1095, don't buy them. I promise it's not. This is just a video that I think needed to be made, because in the community we have a lot of tiptoeing and a lot of like, I think people are nervous about maybe losing sales or losing customers to people that have the capability to work with like the better steels. So sometimes those makers or companies or whatever start to fret and they make content kind of, white lying a little bit about the capabilities and the performance of a steel and of a knife. And at the end of the day, guys, I'll be honest, geometry is nearly the most important thing, okay? So, you can only make 1095 perform so well between geometry and composition, right? Does grinding it crazy thin like this definitely help you? Yes. Okay? It does. But this is not going to have edge retention even close to K390 twice as thick, because genuinely the composition of K390 will blow 1095 out of the water any day, right? So I could beef up K390, and this is like so thin behind the edge. I want to say, 10 thou, something like that. I could do like a 22 thou BTE K390 knife, and even though it's twice as thick behind the edge as the 1095, the composition, I guarantee, would still outperform the thin 1095. So heat treat and composition really do tie into things, and they do matter. And I know people get a little spooky about like losing sales and stuff, and We start to kind of spin some interesting facts. I just wish that people would be a little more honest, especially if they're making self-defense knives. Like, that is something I can admire. If you're making self-defense knives, I'm seeing a lot of them lately, like these interesting, they have like a triangle blade for stabbing. They have kind of like a hook on the end of the handle, and they're for self-defense. You don't need a self-defense knife in K390, because I'm hoping to God that you're never going to have to even use it, right? So if you're not even really using the knife for anything, 1095 makes the most sense. It's cheap, it's easy to work with, it's easy to grind. So if you're making a knife that isn't actually performance-based and you just need kind of like a sharp piece of steel, go with 1095. You know what I'm saying? That's a great idea. If you're making prototypes for knives, let's say you're making a prototype big beater bushcraft knife or machete or whatever, yeah, use 1095. Make it thick and you know, whatever, and beat on it and have fun. It's cheap, and if it breaks, it's easy to replace. There's definitely a place for everything, absolutely. The only thing that I'm saying is there shouldn't be a place for misinformation and lies, right? Because that's where it kind of sucks, is when people are trying to find information and they come into the community and they're hearing 1095, great toughness, good edge retention, easy to touch up in the field, get it. And it's like, okay, so you know, the knife in 1095 is $300, but you can also get a knife in K390 for $300, literally factually better. Wouldn't you morally want to direct that newbie to something that's actually going to serve them well, and for their hard-earned money to go somewhere productive, truly? That's what I'm trying to do on the channel, is be like, I'm sure you've heard such and such, but for the same price, you can get something that's actually going to perform way better. Truly, it is. So that was kind of the whole point of this video. Wow, 32 minutes. We are in it. That is kind of my point, is like, everything has a place, everyone has a place, and every maker deserves to be happy making what they make. I'm not totally sold on the misinformation, though. I wish we could combat that, and the only way that we can is exposing it. I am a huge advocate for solutions instead of just talking. I think it would be kind of lame for me to come on here, talk for 32 minutes and not have a solution to this to offer. So two of my solutions to start to combat this issue that we have is, number one, being like Joe. I love Joe Colton. He's amazing. He's a legend. So what does Joe do? Well, Joe does work in a lot of simple carbon steel. He likes 1095, he likes 52100, 8670, 5160. He likes 440C, okay? I love that he loves those. I love that he knows how to work with them. What does Joe do to be an honest maker? Well, he makes his knives invisible, nearly. Look at how thin this thing is. That's awesome, okay? He also heat treats them to a proper hardness. So is this 1095 57 HRC? No. Is it above 60 HRC? Yes. Why? Because we're not compromising anything and we're giving the customer what they deserve, which is the best performing version of this steel. So we have it thin, we have it above 60 HRC, I think it's more like 62. And in my opinion, for Joe's work, a reasonable price, okay? So that, in my opinion, is a solution, kind of making a little combination of honesty, performance, pushing the steel to the best it can be, right? And pricing accordingly. Another solution that I have is maybe makers trying to step up one step within their little bubble, okay? So like we have low alloy steels, we have high alloy steels, we have stainless steels, okay? Let's say you're only comfortable working with low alloy steel, all right? You know, on paper, factually, for instance, 52100 genuinely is a better performing steel out of like the simple carbon steels, right? So if we're talking like 1095, an 01, an 80 CRV2, and 52100, and 5160, and 8670, okay? An A2, right? In my opinion, based off of the literal facts, like 52100 out of all of those is one of the best options. I also really like A2, high hardness, and you know, ABL is a stainless steel, but again, ABL is cheap and it's actually a very good performing steel. So I would love to see makers venture into using more 52100 and A2 and ABL, because they genuinely factually perform better and are still easy to, you know, work with for the most part. They're offering way more performance for the customer, but they're not sacrificing your enjoyment and your happiness and anything like that, okay? So I would love to see some of those solutions being integrated into the community to combat the misinformation, because we don't have to get nervous and like lie, right? We don't. And we don't have to make videos where it kind of alludes to simple carbon steels outperforming super steel, because it really just looks kind of silly, right? You can love these, you can whatever, but as soon as you start bringing in super steel or just anything that truly performs better in general, and then you start kind of spinning the whole, well, you know, this is tried and true, and we all know that it has the best toughness, and that's why I just rely on this with my life, and I can sharpen it on a river rock. I'm pretty sure we can kind of just move away from that, right? And if not, who cares? You know, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just really trying to find like some sort of solution, or like kind of shining some light on this, because I did not know that K390 had similar toughness to S35V until I read that, and then it really put things into perspective, and I was like, wow, we really have been bamboozled, like duped by some portions of the knife community that have lied and lied and lied and lied and lied for so long that we actually started to believe it, when all we really have to do is look at the charts and the testing that Dr. Laren Thomas did. You just look at it and it's like, wow, that's crazy. Like when you look up 1095, there truly really isn't that much good about it, to the point that in Laren's page on 1095 on the Knife Steel Nerds website, even the way he words things, it's almost like he's like, yeah, it just doesn't, like there are kind of better options out there even within the bubble of simple carbon steel, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I know that this is going to really, really frustrate some people, and I know videos are going to be made just bashing the crap out of this. I'm not even going to watch them. I try not to. I understand that, and I understand why people are going to be upset. I tried to go about it in the most respectful way possible. I offered some solutions, I think, on how we can start to combat it. I'm reiterating at the end of this, we're 40 minutes in now, I am reiterating, everyone is welcome here on the channel. I love all knives. I love all steel. If you love anything, I love that for you. Just like I hope you can appreciate that I am studying and testing very thoroughly thin, hard, super steel knives, pushing the limits, you know, testing things like 15V, where we have a custom maker who did the protocol and everything, and it is just beautiful. I think it's crazy impressive. I'm definitely more on this side of the community, and I hope that we can respect each other and love each other and see where both sides are coming from without the bashing. Also, I apologize if I have bashed on any of the simple carbon seals before. I'm pretty sure I probably have. It's something I'm working on. I'm trying to find solutions as opposed to just, you know, sitting there and shitting on everything. So I'm trying to find different ways to go about it while educating people. So I apologize if I've ever offended anyone by saying, you know, one is crap. You know, it's not necessarily crap, and I am sorry for saying that. I do think there are genuinely, for the better good, for the greater good, better options, though. And I'm going to work on ways of expressing that as opposed to just sitting here and being like, these are all crap and I don't understand the reason. So hopefully that all makes sense. I'm hoping I got my point across. Let's try to all meet in the middle. Maybe help educate each other more, do more on-camera testing, showing these things, help each other out, offer different steels to makers to try that could genuinely work a little better for them. Yeah. I hope that you guys enjoyed that, and if you didn't, I apologize. I tried to go about it the best way possible here, and that's all I can do, I guess, is try my best. So I appreciate you guys. Go use your shit. Learn how to sharpen your knives. I'll see you on the next video, fam. I love you so much. Take care.